ورسوله أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسوله سيدنا ومولانا محمد رسول الله وعليه وأصحابه أجمعين. My topic for today is basically on the food halal haram that's been described in the Holy Quran. What is permissible, what is not permissible, and under what conditions. Now, I have to apologize. I'm trying to fight this really bad cold, so I might be interrupted by sneezes and so forth. These sneezes are not stopping. Please pray for me. Okay, so let me quote first of all from the Holy Quran. In one place it says, and this is chapter 2, uh, uh, chapter 2, 174. He has made unlawful to you only which that dies of itself, and blood, and the flesh of swine, and that on which the name of other than Allah has been invoked. But he who is driven by necessity, being neither disobedient nor exceeding the limit, it shall be no sin for him. Surely Allah is most forgiving and merciful. 2 174. I will explain some of these things in a little detail later on. The Quran again says, forbidden to you is the flesh of the animal that dies of itself, and the flesh of swine, and that on which is invoked the name of other than Allah, and that which has been strangled, and that beaten to death, and that of which a wild animal has eaten, except that which you have properly slaughtered. So again, it says properly slaughtered animals, and we know that later on we'll find out slaughtering is necessary because blood is also haram and forbidden. So it's the kind of slaughter that us Muslims we do, we make sure that blood is drained out of the body. And again, Quran says, except it be that which dies of itself, or blood poured forth of flesh or flesh of swine, for all that is unclean or what is profane, on which is invoked the name of other than Allah, but whoso is driven by necessity, being neither disobedient nor exceeding the limit, then surely the Lord is most forgiving, merciful. Chapter 6, verse 146. A similar commandment is repeated in chapter 16, verse 116. And it says, and finally, eat and drink, but exceed not the bounds. Eat and drink, but exceed not the bounds. Allah does not love those who exceed the bounds. We all know, kulu washrabu wala tusrifu. Let us now look at some of the reasons for the above commandments. First of all, animal that dies of itself. In this situation, the cause of death is unknown, and it is quite likely that the animal has died because of some sort of infection or poisoning. The infection or the poison may be a kind which can be transmitted to man and which may cause serious illness or even death. Now, what about blood? All sorts of toxins, poisons, toxin is the biological name for a poison, and microorganisms, germs, invade the bloodstream soon after the death. This is due to enzyme reactions and cellular breakdowns. within the human body or within the animal body. Same thing happens in the human body. These toxins and microorganisms accumulate in the blood in large quantities and in large numbers. It is quite obvious that when the blood is consumed, these harmful substances and organisms will be transferred to the eater or the person who is consuming it, i.e., the human. Flesh of swine. The flesh of swine, including pork, ham, bacon, and all of those things, is extremely high in saturated fat. Intake of saturated fat is related to elevation of cholesterol in humans, which in turn is related to coronary heart disease. The flesh of swine has more saturated fat in it than that of cows, chicken, lamb, or goat. That is why the flesh of pig is either outright forbidden or is heavily restricted for those with heart disease. Any doctor will tell you that. Or even those who are suffering from high cholesterol, or for those on strict diets. Furthermore, two extremely serious illnesses can be acquired as a result of eating swine flesh, pig flesh. These are trichinosis or the pork tapeworm. The larvae of the are found.
Sorry, Uncle, I think you're covering the microphone. The microphone is covered. We can't hear you.
Oh, microphone.
Perfect. Perfect. You're good.
Now?
Perfect.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. The larvae of trichinosis are found in pork and other swine meats. Upon ingestion, the larvae are released in the small intestine of the man and are distributed throughout the body via the bloodstream. Serious illness can result as a result of this infection, including myocarditis, which is swelling of the heart muscle tissue, encephalitis, which is inflammation or swelling of the brain, pneumonia, and death. These diseases may linger on for years, and once the serious symptoms develop, there is no satisfactory treatment. The total control of this disease is also impossible as pigs are cannibalistic. They eat each other's meat, and the disease keeps transmitting from pig to pig. Also, pigs eat the another cannibalistic animal, the black and brown rats, which harbor the parasites and act as a source of infection. Excuse me. Pork tapeworm, otherwise known as Taenia solium, that's the scientific name of it, is also acquired as a result of eating swine flesh. The larvae of this parasite are ingested by man in contaminated pig meat. The adult tapeworm hatches in the human gut and can be as large as 2 to 3 meters in length. Can you imagine 2 to 3 meters? That's about 6 yards or something like this. Loss of appetite, anemia, and a variety of other symptoms occur. If eggs of this parasite are ingested, they hatch in a small intestine, and the larvae migrate to different tissues, producing extremely serious symptoms. They can reach the brain, causing epilepsy and death, and also infect different other muscles, such as the skin, heart, and eyes, and may cause blindness. And some of these things can also lead to death. Different types of tapeworms will also occur in beef, and certain kinds of fish, but their infection is in humans is relatively mild, and they are incapable of reaching the muscle and the brain. So they just live in the gut, and by treatment they can be cleaned out of the gut. Another fact worth remembering is that pig is a shameless animal, and we all know that. Male pigs often line up to have sexual relations with one female. This animal is also reputed to have homosexual tendencies. Moreover, it's a filthy animal and thrives in filth. All of us have heard the cliche, as happy as a pig in shit, or dirty as a pig, or this house is like a pigsty. Another common cliche is you are what you eat. This fact is now scientifically proven. The food one eats influences one's temperament, mood, and behavior. Now let's look at the strangled animals. Blood is retained in the body of an animal which has been strangled. So, and blood, we know we've already talked about the perils of consuming blood. Animals which animal which has been beaten to death. These are two obvious reasons why. So there are two obvious reasons why blood is retained in the body, and second, uh, blood is retained in the body, and secondly, beating an animal to death is extremely cruel, and in Islam, we have a religion here which is kind and compassionate. Animals killed as a result of a fall. Here again, blood will be retained in the body as a result of sudden death, and we've talked about the blood. Animal of which another wild animal has eaten. Firstly, the likelihood is that blood will be retained in such an animal body. And the second reason is that more important, is actually a more important reason, is that the mouth of an animal, and also of humans for that matter, is full of teeming millions of germs. Teeming million of germs. Many of those germs are extremely harmful and are capable of causing serious illness in man. When a wild animal would eat of another animal, it would leave many harmful germs in the body of the victim. Now, the next thing is that which is unclean. It's a well understood fact that why would one not eat which has been soiled by any dirty animal? It's simply aesthetically unacceptable to partake food from uh, which is dirty and unclean. This is also unhygienic. Then the next one is on which is invoked the name of other than Allah. Unity of Allah is the pillar of Islam. God the Almighty is the provider and the sustainer. Why should one therefore involve or invoke the name of someone who is himself or herself dependent on God's mercy and is capable of helping or is incapable of helping others? Overeating. This is a very interesting one and applies very much to this country also. I would use yet another example or cliches, let's say, to illustrate the point against overeating. We often hear people say that such and such person eats like a hog. Overeating is a serious cause of obesity Overeating by itself and the resulting weight gain can cause a number of serious illnesses, including heart disease and obesity in itself can cause other problems, kidney failure, and so forth. Furthermore, Islam is a religion of moderation and not of extremes. The principle also applies to eating and drinking. Let us now move on the subject of alcohol and gambling. The Holy Quran says, they ask thee concerning wine, which is alcohol, and game of hazard, which is gambling. Say, in both of these, there is great sin and some advantages for men, but their sin is greater than their advantages. Chapter 2, ayat number 220. Wine and game of hazard are only an abomination of Satan's handiwork. Chapter 5, verse 91. And then again it says, Satan desires only to create enmity and hatred among you by means of wine and game of hazard, and to keep you back from remembrance of Allah and from praying. What will you keep back? Chapter 5, verse 91. Let's look at alcohol in some more detail. Since the Holy Quran states that there are some advantages in alcohol, let us first of all look at those advantages. In small amounts, alcohol acts as a sedative and as a relaxant. It's a well-known disinfectant and is often used to clean and disinfect the wound sites and preoperative skin sites before surgery. Alcohol is also used, or is also really known, to temporarily release tensions, but this happens because it dulls the thinking process. It is used as a fuel when combined with gasoline. So that's an advantage, because the so-called gasohol, and you get most of it, these are now with 10% alcohol. It's a relatively clean burning product and causes less pollution in the atmosphere. But alcohol also clouds the thinking process, causes disorientation and memory failure, increase in the risk of cancer of mouth, larynx, and esophagus, which is the canal connecting pharynx and the stomach, causes malnutrition, gives heat and calories, but no nutrition. Is extremely habit-forming. Social drinkers quite often turn into alcoholics. When alcohol is unavoidable, people addicted to it will start drinking other not ethyl alcohol, which is the safer variety of it, but other deadly poisonous substances such as Lysol. You often hear about this. People drink Lysol to get high on it and they die. It's a poison. Methyl alcohol, which is wood alcohol, which is also called the rubbing alcohol, can cause blindness and death. It totally harms the immune system to fight the infection, which humans need. It can cause severe birth defects in babies born to alcoholic mothers. Babies are often of low birth weight and more prone to crib death. It increases the risk of so-called fetal alcohol syndrome, a condition which can cause face or head deformities, mental retardation, and growth deficiencies in the newborn babies. To add to the above, we have many serious social problems related to use of alcohol. Some of them are as follows: traffic deaths and injuries, industrial accidents, including sex crimes, murders, etc., involving alcohol in a majority of cases. This obviously is due to the fact that people using alcohol not only take leave of their senses, but also develop a false sense of confidence. Of all the accidental deaths in the province of Ontario in Canada, and I have looked up, the figures are very much the same in here in Illinois and other states in the Union. 43% are due to traffic accidents, and about 50% of these involve use of alcohol. In large quantities, alcohol can release aggression. Nobody has been able to define what constitutes large quantity of alcohol. They just say, don't take too much or don't take a large quantity of alcohol. What is a large quantity? It differs from human to human. The human body's metabolism decides what is high, which is not high. It's not impossible. It's not a thing that can be measured easily. Alcohol is also responsible for up to 30% of all the hospital admissions. 30%. Besides causing unnecessary sickness and death, this means hundreds of millions of dollars which must be spent on alcohol-related health care each year or preventable diseases. And this is an older figure from 1986. For a period of 9 months, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police responded to 1,184 domestic quarrels in the province of Alberta, 80% of which involved alcohol. Please keep in mind that only a fraction of all domestic quarrels are reported to the police, so the actual number might be too high, higher than this. And these figures are very much the same in the USA. Alcohol is a major factor in a variety of criminal behavior, including child and wife beating, sex crimes, and suicides. It is also a major cause of accidents at home and work, resulting in reduced productivity and loss of income. Before concluding, I should point out some additional medical aspects related to use of alcohol. Alcohol can cause irreversible damage of liver. It's known as cirrhosis of liver. Liver becomes like a piece of wood. It's a leading cause of death in people who are alcoholics. Also, hepatitis in alcoholics is usually very serious. It's called fulminating disease, which is very high death rate. Alcohol intake results in the loss of brain cells, memory failure, and poor concentrations. Sexually transmitted diseases, STDs, including acquired immune deficiency, which is AIDS, and are often contracted by people who are high on alcohol and unable to control their emotions. The final point is that alcohol, according to all the authorities on this subject, is a drug. It's just not a simple thing, it's a drug. That chronic injection which applies to alcohol can therefore be applied to other habit-forming and injurious drugs such as opium, heroin, cocaine, etc. Alcohol is only used as an example. Many deadly diseases, including AIDS, hepatitis B, and hepatitis C are often transmitted from contaminated needles shared by those addicted to these drugs. It is quite obvious that all such intoxicating drugs would keep one away from prayers and remembrance of Allah, because it just causes temporary ecstasy and mental confusion. The underlying principle in the case of alcohol and other similar drugs is that if the harmful effects outweigh the minor benefits, such items are not fit for human consumption. Let's talk about gambling or game of hazard. In the case of gambling, there are some apparent benefits, which include temporary enjoyment and acquiring easy money. Not always, but sometimes. However, the harmful effects outweigh the benefits of gambling. It is also habit forming, not to mention the fact that it is wasteful. It is a great family and social evil. Where one gambles, one does not know when to stop, resulting in destruction of family life and which is often due to violence. In North America and other countries, gambling has been prime reason of attracting organized crime in communities. So as you can see, uh, people know that in Vegas and so forth, there's big time crime element that is there, all the mafia type people. The last topic I would like to deal with has to do with morality. And I think, I don't know how much time I've already spent, but this is a topic in itself and a quite big one. So what I will do, I think maybe I will save it for some other time, maybe some other Friday, inshallah. It's a very vast topic. If I do it today, it will take a long time. So thank you so much for listening, and may Allah bless Friday and all other days, and may you stay safe and happy and healthy. Enjoy the week. God bless.